Hi, this is Cindy from Vintage to New. I'm always looking out for a bargain on fabric. I was able to find 3 size 4X men's tie-dyed t-shirts that were in wonderful condition. I brought them home and I'm testing a new pattern, and I thought, well, I'll just make them up into little play shirts for the grandkids. So without delay, let's get started right away and I'll show you how I did it. Let's get started right away. I went shopping over at the Goodwill bins. That's where you buy your stuff by the pound, and they had 3 of these tie-dyed t-shirts that were size men's 4X. So there's a lot of fabric in them. And I've been working on a pattern, just a little summer shirt, sleeveless pattern. And when I make things, I have to make it multiple times, and I'm making it in the size for my granddaughter and grandson. So I want to show you how I can harvest fabric from these t-shirts to make a child-size shirt. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I did was press the t-shirt so that there's not a lot of wrinkles anywhere. And this area is not a very big area for me to be working on, but you'll get the idea of what I'm doing. So these patterns, the front and back are on the fold, so I placed it on the side seam fold of the t-shirt, and I am going to be using the already done hem. I'm just going to leave it there. So I marked what the hem allowance would be so that I can get it the same on both the front and the back. So the hem is down here if I were to cut it, so I shortened it the hem allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the front and the back, and then I'll be right back. I was able to get 2 shirts out of the one large 4X adult shirt. This pretty blue was up at the top of the shirt, and so the second one I'm going to have to put a hem in it because I could have done it again with the hem down here, but then I would have missed out on all this blue. So that's why I'm going to put a hem in the bottom of this one. Now I'm cutting the facing that we're going to use around the neck and the arms. So I cut off the sleeve, and I'm going to square it up just a little bit using my rotary cutter. If you don't have one, you could use a ruler and something to mark your fabric and then cut it by hand, but I'm using 1.5 inches to make my bands that I'm going to use. So I'm just cutting those out of the sleeve. So just like that. I have the facings for my sleeve and my neck. So I've already placed right sides together, and with the hem, it's real easy to tell which side's which. So I'm going to go sew my shoulder seams and my side seams, and I'm going to use my serger, but you could use a regular sewing machine with a stretch stitch or a real small zigzag stitch. So I'll be right back. Okay, so this one is sewn, and by marking my pattern and doing a good job, this bottom seam down here, this bottom edge lined up really nice. So that's a good finish. And I wanted to show you when I'm sewing with my serger, you can start down here and just serge up this side here. Then you can go around the shoulders, just chain a little bit, go across the other shoulder, chain a little bit, go down the other side. You're done. So next we're going to put on the bindings. Measure around your arm and your neck, multiply it by 0.85, and that will give you 85% of what you need to go around the armhole and then the neck. So this arm needed to be 10 inches, so I cut my binding 10 inches, sewed it together, and now I'm going to fold it in half, putting the wrong sides together. On the right side, I'm going to pin the seam at the underarm here, and then I'm going to mark where the center is up here. So I folded it in half, and the center is right here. And I'm going to put that right at the shoulder seam. So there my armband is, and I will need to stretch the band just a little bit to go around the arm opening, and I'm going to serge it on. Okay, so I have the arms put in, and I've cut the binding for the neck, and I have folded it in half, pinned it in the back, pinned it in the front, and then the front and back, the front scoops lower than the back. So you can't do quadrants and evenly distribute it. So what I like to do is pin the front and the back, get my facing lined up, and give it a little tug, see where it ends up at the shoulder so that it's evenly distributed around, and then pin it here and on the other shoulder, and then sew it on. Okay, so here it is with the sleeve facing and the sleeve facing sewn into place. It looks like this on the inside, and you could have done this with a zigzag or a stretch stitch. Now you can take and turn this down, and you can top stitch right along here, or you could use your cover stitch machine, whatever you would like. And then this one is the one that I still need to put the hem in the bottom. And so again, you could just turn that up and use a small zigzag stitch, and you could do it close to this raw edge and just leave the raw edge, or you could turn it under. So there we go. Okay, so here are the 2 shirts that came from that one shirt. I still have some more to make, but that's for another day. So this is the one that had the hem that we left, that we just put down at the bottom. So that went really quick. And after you put your arm binding on and your neck binding, just top stitch along here. I used my cover stitch machine to do it, but you could do it with just a stretch stitch, a single stretch stitch going along the edge. Also, when I make clothes, I always put just a really soft little tag in the back, because we're so used to having store-bought clothes that have the tag in the back, and it just makes it quicker and easier for a child to find the back of their clothes and to put it on. So until next time, this was Cindy from Vintage to New.